Builder incentives in 2026 are dangling rate buydowns as low as 4.99% and up to $30,000 in closing cost credits in markets like Las Vegas. But here's the brutal truth. For many buyers, these deals aren't actually saving them money. You're signing up for hidden costs that erode those savings faster than you can say escrow. We're going to pull back the curtain on how builders structure these so-called discounts, the sneaky ways they inflate prices to cover incentives, and exactly what that means for your long-term equity. And stick with me, because the last part of this is the piece almost everyone gets wrong, and it's the part that decides whether you win or lose here. Did you know builder incentives, like those 2-to-1 buydowns or massive closing cost credits, are often already priced into the home's value? Zonda chief economist Ollie Wolf noted just last year that September sales hinted at a turning point for new construction, with builders desperate to move inventory after 2024 and early 2025 saw existing home sales hit a three-decade low. On the surface, that $30K credit or 4.5% interest rate sounds incredible, but the fine print, the appraisal, and the true underlying value of that new build can often erase any perceived savings entirely. In markets like Las Vegas or Phoenix, we're seeing builders pull out all the stops, but what's actually happening to the buyer? We're going to break down exactly how these incentives work and, more importantly, where they fall short. But here's the real kicker. Builders are only doing this because they have to. The U.S. housing market saw existing home sales in 2024 hit a three-decade low, as Zonda chief economist Ollie Wolf reported. And frankly, 2025 wasn't much better, often tracking below that weak baseline. For instance, in places like Boise and Austin, the frenzy that defined 2021 to 2022 evaporated, leaving builders with a growing pile of completed units. It wasn't until September 2025 that Wolf's analysis hinted at a turning point, with the sector moving from severe tightness toward a more balanced environment. This isn't just a national trend. Luxury realtor Gabrielle Strout noted in late 2025 that the Houston and Cypress, Texas markets were seeing one of the biggest opportunities buyers have seen in years due to this shift. The 2026 housing market faces significant affordability challenges, particularly for first-time buyers, a point driven home by How to Buy a Home, a resource tracking the market for over 20 years and echoed in Harvard's State of the Nation's Housing. Builders are now offering more incentives due to this increased inventory and intensifying competition. Think about it. If you're a builder in the Phoenix metro with 50 completed homes and another 100 under construction, and buyers are pulling back, what's your play? You start offering rate buydowns and closing cost credits to move product, as described by Jessica Musto in her Houston Buyers Market 2026 analysis on HAR.com. It's a fundamental supply and demand correction playing out in real time. But what are the specific ways builders are trying to sweeten the pot, and are any of them actually worth it? But why are builders going all in on these incentives, often sinking a substantial 5% to 10% of the home's total value into them? It's a clear strategic pivot. Buyers are no longer taking the bait on price alone, especially with the prevailing mortgage rates. Consider the insights from Movement Mortgage's Movement team, specifically their market analysis from June 2026, which underscored the critical prevalence of rate buydowns and massive closing cost credits. These aren't just minor adjustments. They are now front and center, a direct and aggressive response to a market where the average 30-year fixed rate has persistently kept a significant segment of potential homebuyers on the sidelines. In key markets like Texas, for instance, veteran real estate agent Jessica Musto confirmed that closing cost assistance, robust rate buydowns, and substantial credits for design center upgrades or premium appliance packages are currently the most common and impactful sweeteners. It's a strikingly similar narrative in the competitive Las Vegas market, where broker Chris Nevada specifically observed builder closing cost credits exceeding $10,000 for many new constructions as recently as May of this year. These aren't minor perks. We're talking about significant incentives like $15,000 to $20,000 specifically allocated for design center upgrades, or a top-tier $7,000 to $10,000 appliance package that might have been financially out of reach for many buyers otherwise. Builders are even strategically discounting lot premiums, a tactic frequently highlighted by HAR.com blogs for the Houston and Dallas-Fort Worth markets, specifically designed to attract buyers who might otherwise balk at the elevated total cost of a new build. When housing market analyst Craig Berry first talked about money for upgrades back in June 2025, he was pointing to the nascent stages of this trend, but it's intensified dramatically, becoming a core component of builder sales strategies. This all sounds fantastic, right? But here's the catch. Who exactly is paying for these substantial incentives? And how much is that truly costing you, the buyer, in the long run? But here's the kicker. Even with all these incentives, the very force that makes builders so generous is also quietly manipulating your deal behind the scenes. Interest rates. The post-pandemic housing market surge, from mid-2020 through mid-2022, was rapidly impacted by changing interest rates, as U.S. Bank highlighted on June 30, 2026. While you might see a beautiful new build in Las Vegas advertised with a fantastic $30K closing credit or a 2/1 buydown in the Phoenix metro, those incentives are often a direct response to a market cooled by persistent rate hikes. NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun noted in April 2026 that contract signings rose in March despite higher mortgage rates, indicating a significant amount of pent-up demand. Buyers are out there, but they're highly rate-sensitive. So, builders deploy these rate buydowns, like those movement mortgage detailed in their June 2026 market analysis. The key impact? A lower mortgage rate for the first few years, significantly reducing initial monthly payments and making that new home suddenly look affordable. For example, a $500,000 home might see its payment drop by hundreds of dollars initially, thanks to a 2% rate reduction in year one. But here's the often overlooked detail. While these rate buydowns offer initial savings, they typically revert to a much higher market rate interest after a set period, usually 1 or 2 years. This means your monthly payments could jump substantially down the line, catching some buyers by surprise. It's a classic bait-and-switch if you're not prepared for that payment shock, and it's a strategy builders use to offload inventory in a challenging rate environment. So, when you see that incredible deal, are you truly seeing the whole picture of what your mortgage payment will look like in 3 years? But what if those incentives are actually costing you more in the long run? Chris Nevada, writing for his licensed real estate practice on May 11, 2026, specifically for the Las Vegas market, warned about this very trap. He and other analysts like Gabrielle Stroud, a luxury realtor in Cypress, Texas, whose market is seeing builders compete fiercely for buyers, both highlight a significant hidden cost that's not immediately apparent on your mortgage statement. One of the biggest issues is that builders often factor these incentives, like those closing cost credits or rate buydowns we just talked about, into an inflated list price. Think about it. Why offer a 5% credit if you can just bake that 5% into the initial price tag and make it look like a deal? As Strout cautioned in 2026, not all incentives are created equal, and some can actually cost you more long-term. You might pay a higher purchase price than if you had simply negotiated for a lower price up front. This artificially inflates the perceived value of the home, potentially impacting your long-term equity, and here's the real gut punch, often leading to a higher property tax assessment right out of the gate. For example, in the booming Houston metro, where new builds are abundant, if you see a builder offering $10K in closing costs, ask yourself if that same house could be had for $10K less without the incentive. It's a sleight of hand that benefits the builder's bottom line by preserving their price point, rather than giving you a true discount. This can be a huge difference when you go to refinance or sell, impacting your cash flow down the road. But what if there was a way to get these builders to drop their price even further? So, what if I told you the single most effective tactic to save you thousands, the one builders absolutely hate, isn't some secret government program or a new type of loan, but simply not taking their advertised deal? Many buyers, especially first-timers who might be using How to Buy a Home as their go-to resource, tracking the market since 2006, fall for the allure of those flashy closing cost credits. Chris Nevada, a licensed real estate professional in Las Vegas, whose article from May 11, 2026, focuses specifically on these builder closing cost credits, notes they can be a significant draw. The Movement team, in their June 8, 2026 article for Movement Mortgage, even frames builder incentives like rate buydowns as some of the best deals. But here's the crucial pivot: that 5% or 10% in incentives. Often, you can negotiate that directly into a lower purchase price. Imagine a $400,000 home. A 5% incentive package, or $20,000, looks great for closing costs. But if you negotiate that $20,000 off the price instead, your loan amount shrinks, meaning less interest paid over 30 years. U.S. Bank's analysis from June 30, 2026, on the impact of changing interest rates reinforces how even small reductions in your principal can have a snowball effect. This is where an independent real estate agent, one who represents your interests and not the builders, becomes invaluable. They can help you see past the shiny incentives and push for that lower base price, a move that builders often resist because it directly impacts their comps and future pricing strategies. It's the ultimate negotiation, not just taking what's offered, but demanding what's truly best for your long-term financial health. So, what does all of this mean for you, the potential buyer navigating the 2026 market? It means builder incentives, while enticing, demand an unprecedented level of scrutiny. Don't be swayed by the immediate gratification of a reduced closing cost or a temporary rate buydown. Instead, focus on the underlying asset's true value, the long-term cost of ownership, and your own negotiation power. As Zonda's Ollie Wolf highlighted in late 2025, the market is shifting towards balance, giving buyers more leverage than we've seen in years. Have you encountered a builder trying to push you into their in-house financing or preferred lender with a seemingly irresistible offer? Share your experience in the comments below. How did you navigate it? If you want more data-driven insights to cut through the market noise, hit that subscribe button. And if you're wondering how to properly stress test a rental property deal in this high-rate environment, watch my in-depth breakdown of the 1% rule's fatal flaws next.